welcome to Worship and Word Conversations, our Saturday afternoon, Sabbath afternoon. Man, what is it that we do on Saturday afternoons, Chris?
We have engaging conversation either between each other
Yeah.
or we sometimes bring on other friends, family, and we talk about
Yeah.
about something that occurred in our study, in our discussion from the previous from Friday, from last night, or the night before, I should say, and that's usually how it goes. It's kind of like this theological on
Mhm.
Friday, application on Sabbath,
Yep.
or Saturday afternoon, and the application is encroached in conversation. That was a long scenic route to explain
Yeah.
what we do, but
So we're here Saturday afternoon, and we're excited about having this conversation with you. If you're a Worship and Word fan, you already know what to do. Hop in the comment section. Let us know that you're hanging out with us. Cerise is hanging out. Back room must have been lit. No. We were getting into a good conversation before we even started, so it took us a little while to come on and check in today. But we're here.
Yes,
We're here and we are ready.
Mhm.
I ain't gonna hold y'all. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. Last night took me out. Last night took me all the way out. It just took me all the way out. That's why you only saw Chris.
Yep.
That's why you only saw Chris when we closed our session last night. If you missed last night, we had somebody called it the Geek Gospel. You go back and check out last night's conversation, the previous conversation about unstable connections.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it took me out. Like I could not come back on the screen, man.
It was tough.
Man,
It
I
was
was,
tough.
my allergies were acting up. It was
Listen, man. You know what? I had that epiphany. I think when the song was going, that oftentimes, and I really, man, I really believe if I didn't have the boohoo moment before we got on, both cameras would have been off talking about go pray, y'all. We'd have been done.
Listen, when Marvin Wine is in the song, man, he said, man, what did he say? What did he say? Stick your chest out or roll your shoulders back. I don't know. I just remember him going like this in the recording, and I was like, oh, nope, I'm not gonna cry. Nope, I'm not gonna cry. Nope. And there it is.
Boom.
I ain't had no tissue around. I was struggling. I was trying to wipe my eyes before the video went off, and I was like, I'm just turning my camera off.
Listen,
it's done.
I think the process has fully been complete now. I have my moment in November. Your moment was due. It was due. The only difference is I ain't get to see it. I ain't get to see yours. So it wasn't as vulnerable. It still was, but it wasn't as because you saw what mine was gonna when I was and then
you left though. You left. You got out of that chair and you walked away. So man, you walked away. People don't know that. So Pam checking in with us. Praise the Lord. It's the Sabbath. Hazel says, Hey, we got Aaron Coates, little Aaron, Charlie, Richard. Thanks for your prayers for my son. He called me early this. Look at that. Let's stop. We pausing. Wow. We pausing. Go ahead, Chris.
So for those of y'all that need a refresher, yesterday, upon my recollection, there was a prayer request for Aaron's son, and so today for her to say that he did check in, answered prayer, y'all.
Yep,
answered prayer. That's huge.
Yep.
Like sometimes you don't have to wait till next week's life update for the.
Yeah.
Aaron, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yep. Renita checking in with us. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us, Renita. Appreciate your ministry. Your support. Gerald, what's up?
G Best,
what's up? And Hazel said, "How come we don't get to see it? See?
Hazel, this some things.
That was a prayer closet moment.
Yeah, that's not even for the after party backstage. That's
like
that's off stage.
I fall prostrate and lay my face down.
Yeah.
So, what we want to do first, Chris?
You know what? Let's go ahead and that new idea.
Okay. So the new idea.
With the with the emotional wheel, the aspirational
Cool.
approach to it. I
Cool.
like that. Yeah.
So every Friday evening for our just what we do. I almost said conversation, but yeah, every Friday as we get together, we start off with a recap of our week and we put this emotional emotional vocabulary wheel on the screen, and we talk about how our week went and how we've been feeling.
Mm.
And for today, and I think we're going to start doing this on Saturday afternoons as we start the next week. We're going to put the wheel back up and we're going to view it aspirationally. So instead of how did you feel, what were the emotions you experienced this week?
Mm.
The question on Saturday afternoon is how do you want to feel during this upcoming week? And what are some of the things that you could do to go in that direction? So we're going to put that up.
I think that's going to be a great transition, actually.
Yeah. So before we get to that, Donna and Elaine are checking in with us, saying praise the Lord. Prayer changes things. So yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Yeah, here's the wheel, Chris. And feel free to throw yours in there. Here's the setup. We're talking about aspirationally.
Yeah.
How do we want to feel next week, going into next week, and what's something that we can do to contribute to that? So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You know, aspirationally, man, I want to feel creative, extravagant, like, and not, you know, and I guess I should qualify, not just creative in the sense of I'm feeling productive.
Yeah.
I want the reality of my productivity to influence that feeling. Oh, I am productive and I feel productive. Listen, this week I was productive.
Yeah.
Didn't feel that way though. There were still some moments of still feeling unfulfilled.
Yeah.
I wanted to align, and not only that, but I don't know why extravagant is is like the extension of creative. But let's go there. Like let's get extravagant this week. That's what I aspire for.
Yeah, I want to feel, I would say, thankful and confident going into next week and all throughout next week. Thankful and confident. So expressing more gratitude as we talk about our journey all the time, and things that God is doing, and even thankful for the things that God is doing that are on the horizon that I have no idea about. I want to get more consistent about thanking God in advance for things that are coming my way that I don't know about yet. And then confident, like walking in the confidence of the calling of the work and touching people and conversations, going into all of those conversations, knowing like we talked about this before, as a child of God, my Zoom calls are blessed.
Yeah.
It's not just what we do here on Worship and Word and Worship and Word Conversations. Like my Zoom calls, my phone calls, my emails are blessed. They come with the favor of God. So working in that mindset with the confidence that the Spirit of God is orchestrating and moving and guiding and opening doors, and thankful for what God is doing in advance that I don't even know about yet. I might not know about it for a few years. I want to praise God in advance. So yeah, that's how.
Can you imagine depositing an emotion tomorrow or today for something that's going to happen? Oh wow! Yeah. Hey, who's that choir that sings "This is the confidence we have"? I'm not going to attempt to even try to.
I don't know,
melody, but you know,
somebody knows. Throw it in the chat. Yeah.
Excuse me, my throat is.
Go ahead, drink some water, some tea. You get your tea.
You know what it is? Nah, it's just a straight. You know what it is? Scarfing all that food down before we got on live.
So for you in the comment section, let us know as you look at the peaceful, powerful, and joyful section of this emotional wheel. And I know we're prompting you, but how do you want to feel next week? Yeah. How do you want to feel in those three sort of triangular sections, quadrant? What are they called? Segments?
I would say pies. No, the slices.
Pies, slices.
I think it would be sectors.
I did liberal art, so.
Pierre, would it be as people are starting to fill it out? Would it be would it be not fair, but would it be okay would it be acceptable for somebody to say, you know what, next week I want to feel sad. I want to feel. Would that be a problem for someone? And let's maybe instead of saying it in such a trite way, it's like, oh, okay, what if it was in the context of let's do it from a mature standpoint.
Yep.
I haven't cried in a very long time.
Yeah, that's good.
I aspire to embrace my loneliness, or I aspire to embrace my. Nobody don't embrace y'all stupidity. That's but you may inspire. You may aspire to maybe embrace the guilt, right?
Yeah,
I kind of disagree with the whole guilty and then bashful. It kind of seems that this is starting to get a little sketchy now that I'm looking at the integrity of our emotional wheel.
Well, what I don't know if the one actually leads into the other.
Okay.
Or if it's actually like three.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I got to start thinking about it that way. Because like I'm looking at content and peaceful, and then there's pensive, and it's like, or thoughtful and relaxed. You're right. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it's the lighter the color, the lighter the feeling. And as the darker it goes, it gets more heavy.
See, you going all UX design.
I know. I couldn't help it.
Yeah, but I think so. I think one of the things about the emotional quotient is the first part is emotional awareness, and then emotional management is the second part. Awareness is I can identify the emotion.
Yeah.
Management is I can navigate it.
Okay.
And emotions are not good or bad, even though we look at the top half of this and say these are negative. Undesirable.
Yeah.
And the bottom is desirable. Emotions themselves aren't good or bad. They're a reflection of an experience that we interpret as good or bad. So, yeah.
Okay. That is such a good way of putting it.
He says he wants to feel peaceful and relaxed this week.
Awesome.
Cerise says, I want to be joyful and energetic this coming week.
People adding double. Maybe I need to add a double too.
See, you don't want to put limits on it. Nobody else.
I want to be creative.
Lotta says peaceful, trusting / thankful. All right. Take the next few of these, Chris.
Aaron says, Lil Aaron wants to feel relaxed. I'm with you on that. You on that, Lil Aaron?
Yeah.
That's gonna be my second one. Creative and relax. Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Lana is giving some context on the wheel.
Okay. Think about in the context of the exterior emotions leading to the internalized emotions. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. Donnie Lane, we are in the hopeful, grateful, without pain sector, calling those that are not scheduled as if they are. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's heavy.
Yeah, I'm pulling this back up. Gerald says relieved on there. Yes.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, we can put
However, why not? I think the
that'd be in the
closest to that. Yeah, I was gonna say peaceful, maybe between serene and relaxed. You can put relieved right there, wedge it right in between responsive and relaxed. Relieved.
Charlie wants to feel stimulated, although the wheel says stimulating. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Richard wants to feel satisfied. Yeah. It does something for me, at least. I can only speak for me. It frames it differently where I'm saying aspirationally when I'm looking toward next week.
Yeah.
With the hope and the promise that even when we were talking about last night, even the choice.
Yep.
Like I can set this up so that I choose to feel blank next week instead of simply responding to the week that was. And the power of choice that God gives us in that moment. Man, I don't even know. Like when we were talking about this backstage before we started, I didn't even think about that aspect or that element of it. So yeah, thank all of y'all for throwing it in the comment section. And if you're at home and chilling and it's casted on the screen, write down, or even talk to the people in the space with you how you want to feel next
Would this
week.
be considered a critical thinking exercise? I don't know if it's critical thinking as much as it's more just because you really have to. Well, you
Yeah,
don't have to, but on a subconscious level, you are thinking about how you felt this week,
yeah.
or at least how you are feeling presently, at the very least, and even maybe why. Well, maybe we ask that next time. Why do you want? Yeah. But why do you want to? I think it'll add a little bit more context as to the motive behind the aspiration. I think the motives are just as important for trying to choose, because there's going to come a point sometime, come Wednesday, hump day, y'all. You said, man, I chose to feel happy. I'm not feeling happy. And you got to ask yourself, why did you want to feel happy? Reason number one, reason number two, reason number three, which can help to influence, or at least to steer you back to the decision that you chose to make on that Saturday.
And I would add to that, embracing the reality that choosing to do something and then following up with the corresponding actions that undergird the choice are really two different things. And I mean, you really think the enemy wants you to be like, yo, I'm choosing joy this week. Oh, okay. Let me send some stuff your way.
Yeah.
So Carmela says aspiring to be musically creative this week. So that creative.
That's good. You know what, this is also good, P? I know we're going to transition again, but there's been this, I don't know where it came from. Is it a reality show where people, I think it's become memeified now. We've butchered the meaning and understanding of meme. We've made a meme where it's just so, oh man, I'm so frustrated. But nonetheless, it's become a meme where people now say, or they post, you woke up and chose violence this morning. I don't know if you've seen that. So there's this whole, so there's this whole thing around like when you decide to be petty or do something, just negative or offensive, and not necessarily in a traumatic way, but it's almost kind of said in jest, right? Almost facetiously, where it's like, oh, so you just chose violence. That's how you want to act today. That kind of a thing. Kind of ties into us now choosing, like what Carlos just added there. OG Carlos, shout out to OG Carlos. He put joyful and energetic.
Yeah.
So instead of choosing violence, we're choosing more positive emotions. Appreciate you for sharing those. I just want to throw that in there, kind of tie us into what's actually going on in social media land right now.
Yeah. Delia says cheerful and relax. She wants to feel that next week, feel overwhelmed since I have not had a vacation for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And yo, man, Delia was all about that self-care, man. She's a big self-care person. She would, take her vacations and take her time off and relax and recharge.
Yeah.
Work hard, play hard. But she said, I have not had a vacation for a long time. When your office is at home,
for
me, it's hard not to work all the time. Man, how many of us
tough.
are in that place too, where it's all up in there.
Y'all go ahead and put up the raise hand emoji. Go ahead and just drop it in.
I can't do it on this keyboard, but
go ahead. Yeah.
So you mentioned a meme, right? And for our conversation today, I want us to talk about things that we've read this week. The title is something I read this week, and the idea behind it, as we're still building the plane, as we're flying it, is for us to choose what lens through which we see the things that we consume. So the idea is we're going to encourage you maybe to share a link of something in the comment section or give a description of something you read. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a Bible verse. It could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be something from your devotional book. It could be. It could be a regular news story or a blog post, op-ed, whatever it is. And for our conversation, we're going to take a look at, through the lens of really practical Christianity, how do we deal with this thing that we've consumed this week? Like, where do we put it? And how do we deal with it? So I know some of you are thinking right now, man, I read something this week. Where was it? You're going to flip through your Facebook timeline or some tabs in your phone or whatever. And we're going to give you some time to do that. I have something I read this week. I know Chris has something he read this week. But before we do that, I just want to give you a short recap of what we talked about last night. a short recap of what we talked about last night. And man, try to do it without losing myself.
You went in. You went in yesterday.
We're not having a replay of last night.
we not, but you went in. Listen, the
So,
Wi-Fi.
John 15. Just really simply, last night we were discussing John 15, and when Jesus is having the conversation with his disciples, he's using the analogy of vine and branches. This is a Last Supper conversation, right before we transition to the last part of John's gospel and the challenge that Jesus experiences with the arrest and things all the way up to the crucifixion. This is immediately preceding that, and Jesus is telling his disciples, y'all got to stay connected to me. If anything is going to be a positive outcome, it's going to be as a result of your connection with me. And Chris and I were talking about our Wi-Fi issues, and I had a technician come out, and the technician basically said that in order for me to maximize my Wi-Fi signal, I have to cut off access from certain things being able to connect to the Wi-Fi. He said you have too many devices for the system that you have. And I realized that in my personal spirituality, that the drain sometimes is I'm trying to connect to Jesus and something else. Whenever I try to connect to Jesus and something else as my primary source, my faith signal is always weakened. He also talked to me about the power of the hardwired connection. And if I want the maximum output from what the system offers, I should not use Wi-Fi. I should use the hardwired connection, the Ethernet cable, to get the maximum possible. Now, Chris and I, when we were talking last night, we really quickly went into our browser, our internet browser, and did a speed test. The speed test showed us our upload speed and our download speed. And what we realized, what we're downloading just exponentially goes past what we upload. And for a spiritual analogy, what we receive from God exponentially outweighs what we offer to God. My download speed was like 270. My upload speed was 11 or 12. And it's just the gap is so far in between. And we realized that our lives are not sustained by what we upload. They're not sustained by what we give or what we offer to God. And even if we put our sacrifice in the category of, man, I made a huge sacrifice for God and for the kingdom, God downloads into your spirit and into your life exponentially outweighs anything you could upload to him. And it's the power of being connected that makes all of these things possible. So yeah, go back and check out last night's conversation, this geek gospel. My Xfinity technician came and preached me a full sermon talking to me about my Wi-Fi. So yeah, that was last night. So that was a previous conversation, and check it out. All right. So we're doing we're segueing into something I read this week. And Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I was really trying to, I was wrestling with this. And I came across an email. I was like, why am I struggling? How many emails we come across, guys, that we read? And sometimes we don't read, but we may scan. This one, though, I went through my inbox and I realized, oh, yeah, this definitely did strike a nerve. One of these individuals, he's a phenomenal entrepreneur, serial just business. He's a serial entrepreneur. So he has like multiple business. He starts things and, some of them succeed, some of them don't. He's traveled in different places just to make the thing survive or to grow. Anyway, amazing guy. He says personal branding was a useful exercise back when it was really quote unquote a thing. But now one's work on the internet is as good as most personal branding pages, especially in a search first world. But you don't always get to choose the content that surfaces first. And so being intentional about one's personal brand and the work they put on the internet is still really a good idea if you have the time, interest, and inclination. It hit me because, there was a time when even for work, like I would help people with their personal brand. Even for me, I would have Man, I realized that naming conventions is a thing for me, which is probably why I'm now on the brand messaging side of things. You remember, I had an email for almost every
You did.
single occasion.
Yeah.
It was, I don't want to say it was a problem, but at one point I thought it was an identity crisis. I realized now it wasn't an identity crisis as much as just overthinking and over strategizing which email would go for which thing. Anyway, that being said, the fact that you can have all of the branding is really just to keep it simple. It's a set of stories, memories, relationships, expectations that causes you to choose one thing over another time and time again, whatever that product is, service is, whoever, right? Whatever. And so that's what the brand is. You can have that for yourself where people go to your page, go to your LinkedIn, go to your Facebook, go to your YouTube, whatever, say, oh, I know this person for this, right? That's the brand. I expect this from this person. I, trust that this person will deliver me whatever. But he said that's not as important. The look and the feel as much as what you're actually delivering. So, okay. Especially because in our memeified first search or search first world, people are looking for content. They're looking for something to feed them. Hence, we even talking about something I read this week, right? And so that did strike a nerve. I'm not in that place where, and I think it wasn't a bad place, but it was more so for priorities. It actually resonated with what you talked about on Friday, P. Remember the lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
Piece, and you said, listen, a lot of people got the new lights, they got the cameras, they got the streaming thing set up, but when they open their mouths,
there's no message.
Message is not even. Yeah, so that I resonate with that because he's like, there was a season when branding and especially personal branding was a thing. Like that was an important thing back in the day where people would wonder, should I have my Facebook page and my personal Facebook profile or should I do both? And he's like, now it doesn't even matter. It's been normalized. The democratization of social media and the dissemination of information from anybody who can go viral and they're a nobody. My man drinking a cranberry juice, skateboarding, and that's what he's done his whole life. He nothing new, but because of the timing and because of the whatever it was that was going on, boom, my man moved straight out of mobile home into a whole new house. Anyway, that's what I read, and it was definitely it's a cool reminder.
Yeah, so we want to encourage you, if you got something you read this week, drop it in the comment section and we'll bring it up. We'll chat about it. Doesn't necessarily have to be from your devotional life. It could be something from work. Could be something you were just scrolling, health related, mental health, comedic, whatever it is. And the purpose of it is really for us to practice in community that, shares all things in common. Is how do we interpret? How do we go through, navigate? How do we process many of the things that come across our timeline, or even we click share on or like? I know for me, Chris, I've clicked like on stuff that I haven't read.
or barely skimmed.
or barely skimmed. So let me take this one from Cerise. Let me see. I got the full.
Okay. So you want to read the full or you want me to?
Yeah, you start and then I'll finish it up. On StreamYard, it cuts it off. I'm sorry. I have to look on Facebook to see the rest of it.
Gotcha. So Cerise says, I read this in a devotional by Mark Batterson. Shout out to Mark Batterson, deep brother, that I ended up posting on Facebook. All our identity issues are fundamental misunderstandings of who God is. Guilt issues are a misunderstanding of God's grace. Control issues are a misunderstanding of God's sovereignty. Anger issues are a misunderstanding of God's mercy. Pride issues are a misunderstanding of God's greatness. Trust issues are a misunderstanding of God's goodness. And you can pick it up from there, P.
If you struggle with any of those issues, it's time to let God be the loudest voice in your life. And that's from Mark Batterson's book, Whisper, How to Hear the Voice of God. Man, all our identity issues are fundamental misunderstandings of who God is. Sheesh.
That's a very theocentric way of looking at life, right?
Yeah.
That's
well, Mark Batterson,
it is.
He always heavy.
Yeah.
He never goes light. He's always heavy. But I love to, what are your thoughts on that in the comment section? Mark
Mhm.
Batterson's assertion: all of our identity issues are fundamental misunderstandings of who God is. Because I
Mm.
can hear some people saying, well, my identity issue is because of X, Y, and Z that happened to me. And how we're interpreting what happened to us
Mm.
even be connected to this statement as well.
Mm.
So yeah, we'll let it breathe and give y'all some time to make some comments on
Yes.
this because this is really interesting. It could prompt a discussion in a lot of different directions.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but what, but what Lana says really it ties in something I read this week actually today. Be careful what you think
Mm.
because your thoughts run your life.
Yeah. So you know what? So you know what, P. For those of you that have the Bible app, bruh, I hit the 600 streak mark like yesterday,
Wow.
and that's crazy, right? But I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, I'm like, has my spiritual and devotional life reflected a 600 streak mark? You're talking about 600 straight days of opening the app and reading the verse. So I
Uh-huh.
just don't open it and then close it. Like, no. I open it with the intention. And I started reading the story stuff because those things were, but it was only up until yesterday. I said, you know what? A thing popped up and it was very similar to what Cerise said, a very similar thing to what Lana just wrote, which is dealing with the mind.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that because like that right there, what Lana put, it ties back into the last sentence of Cerise's summary. Let God be the loudest
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
You know, whatsoever. You mentioned it yesterday. Whatever you think about, things that are noble, true, just, of good report. I think that's Philippians 4:8. Like those are the things which is going to not only just manifest or impact how we choose to feel next week. We can't, and
True.
and I'm also talking so that we can get some people, get some comments going here because I hope that this is kind of, just getting the juices flowing for those of you that are watching. Please, just engage and really think about, and don't think too hard. Just think about something that you've read this week, because I'm thinking, Pia, I'm just thinking about this idea of choosing to have this new or aspirational thought,
Yeah.
but none of my consumption, none of the things that I'm reading or the loudest voice in the room all week doesn't align with what I'm choosing to say. Okay, I'm choosing to be serene, but I'm watching
But I'm not practicing serenity.
news. News ain't
Yeah.
serene. News is not serene. We don't even have to go like deep, like we don't have to go deep into the dark stuff, the dark part of the interwebs. We don't even have to go there. Hit the channel, like, and turn on the television. The majority of the stuff that's on there, if it's not drama, is some sort of reality, and that isn't. Anyway, all of that to say, I now ask myself, how am I going to make or allow God to be the loudest voice? Because He's not going to just show up and say, well, sometimes He does, but most times He stands at the door and knock. Other times He'll kick the door down. Sometimes He'll kick the door down. Not all the time.
Don't test.
Oh man. So anyway, just wanted
Yeah.
to throw that in there.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I'm gonna share this, man. I'm gonna share this. So this is from I'm reading a book by Dr. Caroline Leaf called Switch on Your Brain: The Key to Peak Happiness, Thinking, and Health. And Dr. Caroline Leaf is into brain science. Like she's into brain science. And she's a Christian, and she integrates her faith with her work. And she quoted David Levi, or David Levy, however you pronounce his last name, in his book. His book is called Gray Matter, and he is a neurosurgeon. And this is what he said: I've been in this profession for a good number of years, and I am intimately familiar with most of the new techniques, procedures, medical devices, and drugs hitting the market. Many of them are ingenious, and I use them regularly in my practice. I have consulted for several companies to develop better devices, and I've traveled the world teaching others to use them. I admire and am grateful for modern medical technology. But though technology can prolong a life or reduce pain, it cannot always make life better. This is from page 19 of Gray Matter. My experiences have convinced me that spirituality is a crucial element to the well-being of a person as a whole. Moreover, if we let him, God can do powerful supernatural things in our everyday lives. That's why I began inviting God into my consultations, exams, and surgeries.
Wow.
Many would be surprised that a neurosurgeon, a man of science, logic, and human progress, would be such a strong believer in God and divine intervention. Yet the experience has been nothing short of phenomenal.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that's David Levy,
I think it's Levy.
Gray Matter.
Wow.
And it's, it's, and we've been talking about this for several weeks, man, this Western philosophy, this Western mindset that says we have to compartmentalize our spirituality, that we don't take God to work. And with freedom of speech and laws and policies, and there are certain things you can and can't do in certain places. But in this example, we see a neurosurgeon who says, nah, like if you're working with me, you go, we praying in the exam room. That's just, you just know that's coming. We praying before we start the surgery. We're praying for that first consultation. That is a part of who I am in my work. And I've seen God do some miraculous things. So yeah.
Yeah, that is it's one thing to hold it in your heart, right?
It's one thing. It's another thing to say. And man, it was interesting. I had a conversation with someone this week, and I was asking him, and he's like New York Times bestselling author, all the accolades, right? And I was asking him about school. I was looking on his LinkedIn profile. I said, "Hey man, why did you choose this school to go to?" And he was like, "Oh man, it's simple. I'm a believer." And I wanted to go to a school that more aligned with faith versus what I did for my master's. It was I wanted a different viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
New York Times bestselling author, taught around the world, keynote speaker, like all the accolades. So before we got off the call, I was like, "Hey man, can you pray for us?" He was like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem."
Yeah.
Love to. Boom, not even a thing.
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes as persons of faith, we're afraid to say, or we're afraid to offer, or we're even afraid to connect with people who we know maybe they're not a part of our particular, if we look through the tabs of denominations, right? They're not a part of our particular denomination. We know they're believers. But we are afraid to say, "Hey, would you like to pray, or could you pray, or could I pray for us?" Like we keep it like nice and tucked, and for whatever reason, no judgment, but just a call to recognize, how do we lean into those nudges when we get them.
That's a good point.
So
great point.
What else we got? Cerise says there was also something else I read in David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. Listen, y'all, if y'all haven't read David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell, y'all missing out.
It's a very interesting perspective.
Man, talking about how what is seen as advantages sometimes are disadvantages, and vice versa. Yeah. So, man, a part of David and Goliath that was really just caught me is that many times as students, you have to make a choice. Do I stay? He was talking about students going to Ivy League and how some students prize going to Ivy League schools, but some of them don't do well, even especially for minority communities, not because they're not smart enough, but when they go to some Ivy League schools, they don't find community that is able to surround them and support them and help them grow.
Yeah.
And so he says, sometimes you got to make the determination. Do I go to a really, really big pond where I'm a small fish? Or do I go to a place that's smaller, but it will allow me to maximize what I have even more. And what's an advantage can be sometimes a disadvantage. So he said there's a set of advantages that have to do with material resources, and there's a set that have to do with the absence of material resources.
Mm. 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 It's been a long time since I've read that, but yeah, true story.
Yeah.
True story. I went to a book signing. This was when I was living in New York City, and after the book signing, I'm leaving, and he's like, Barnes and Noble, the Barnes and Nobles in Manhattan, where everybody go to.
Yeah.
Leaving, and I'm standing at the curb waiting to cross over, and who stands right next to me to cross the street?
Malcolm Gladwell.
None other than the only thing I from my memory, if I can remember, the only thing that I could muster up to say was, "So you're a yardie too, huh?" This mom's Jamaican, so she's like, "Cool." And I think I left prematurely because I think he almost would have engaged. I was like, "I'll see you later." And I was like, man, to have that moment again. Yeah. But anyway, that was random, but just wanted to say it was because of going to the David and Goliath signing that he had. So yeah.
So the follow-up is when I read it, it hit me. It had me thinking how a lot of my bad habits and thoughts can really tie back to me not accepting who God is, not necessarily misunderstanding him, because I've been taught those things, but I obviously have not accepted them. Yeah.
That goes back to Alana's.
Yep. Man, we got Karen checking in with us. Kingdom greetings. Thanks for checking in, Karen. Carlos says, from a comedic perspective, I found a post that lightened a tough day. A conversation between me and my Trini mom reminded me of my late mom. There's a post, right? There's a post. Man, yeah. There's a post.
There's a post. There's a post.
There's a post. Girl from Trinidad, and she has a TikTok post that was posted to Facebook, and I reposted it on Facebook. I don't know if the same one that Carlos is talking about, but it was, to me, it was hilarious because I'm married to a Trinity. Yeah. So and that's how she sounds. And when her mom calls her, that's how her mom sounds. So yeah, sometimes you just need those things that make you laugh.
Yeah.
Like the healing properties of laughter that a lot of times we don't engage in.
Yeah.
And we just shy away from. It's like almost that we think that Jesus didn't laugh. So yeah. If you're just stopping to scroll, this is Worship and Word Conversations, our Saturday afternoon, our Sabbath afternoon discussion. And for our topic this week, we are just referencing things that we read, or maybe even things that we've seen on social media, and how we're navigating things from a practical Christian perspective. So it doesn't have to be devotional related, doesn't have to be a Bible verse. Some people have shared that, others have shared other things. And we're just hearing from our community, what are the things that we are reading and thinking about. And it's good because a lot of times we do a lot of consuming. We don't do a lot of processing. Don't do a lot of processing. So Donna's got one for us, Chris.
So Donna says, I heard a sermon today by E.D. Peeler, and it's in line with this theme. With my notes, it's all in your head. A, my thoughts control my life. B, my mind is the battleground for sin. C, my mind is the key to peace and life, which is Romans 12, 2 and 3. And then 3 choices for a renewed mind. Number 1, be sure to feed your mind with truth, aka the Bible. Number 2, free your mind from destructive thoughts, and I guess replace with positive self-talk. I'm going to interpret it that way. And number 3, there's evaluate, or the evaluation of the world systems of media consumption, aka Guard the Avenues of Your Soul by another writer we may be familiar with. Is that?
Yeah, that's the end. It's
Okay.
hand raised emoji at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting how kind of the theme that's we're talking about, thoughts and
Yeah.
what we consume is kind of feeding into this. Yeah, man. I'm gonna come back and get them points so I can preach.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. And I wonder how often we, like you were saying before, Chris,
Yeah.
I'm choosing joy next week, or I'm choosing peace,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
I'm choosing hope. But then how often do I fill my mind with
Yeah.
things that don't align with that choice?
Right. Right.
And Chris already talked about news. I'm gonna tell you a little bit. Listen, news is designed to keep you unsettled.
Hello.
That is the design of the production, to keep
And let's
unsettled.
and Pete, I'm not gonna touch it, but I'm gonna just say this so that I'm gonna just throw the ball back to you. Separate news from journalism, because people may try to put. Okay, back to you, Pete.
No. There's a difference.
There is a difference.
There is a difference.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all. From your friends to you, it is not designed to inform you. It is designed to alarm you and keep you on edge, and then also for you to deal with being on edge and alarmed by purchasing something. That's the design. It's owned by companies that have a filter, and they know if we put this commercial after this news segment, because you're alarmed, you're worried about a bomb in this country, you're worried about a drop in the stock price, you're worried about the possibilities of being sick or a storm on the way, and then we follow that up with an opportunity to buy something. Sooner or later, you're going to say, in order to get over the feeling of being alarmed, I'm going to pursue retail therapy. It is a psychological manipulation that's happening. So oftentimes the best thing for us is to simply turn it off.
Yeah.
There cannot be breaking news 24 hours a day. Everything ain't breaking news.
Yeah. I know, when it became very prevalent, or prevalent when the election day came, and there was always like this breaking news alert. I'm like, but is it really? But because of the font that was used, the red color of the font, the
music,
the sound effect that hits while they're talking, and then it's like, oh, we just got another breaking news. Was it really that breaking? And I would add this to two things pieces. We're gonna go down this.
Yeah. We talk about something I read. So
hey, listen, I would not a betting man, but I would put money on the fact that the toilet paper craze last year.
Oh, you trying to get it? Okay.
I would almost I would put all my money on the fact that was designed just maybe even as a social experiment. Here's the thing. For those of us, let me back up. For those of us that don't watch the news like that, you might, but you don't even realize that you do. So here's the second thing that I want to talk about. So oftentimes I would get mine from like Twitter. I rarely use Twitter now from a productive standpoint. It's really more headlines, what's trending, especially because it shows what's trending where you live, or all of that. And so that's news.
Yeah.
Right? And so it may not be me glued to the television, but I'm still getting the Apple News notification that pops up,
or the Facebook,
or
top stories,
the banner, or the top stories. And so I think it's helpful for us to really start to expand the definition of what news is, or at least what news, with the form that it can take. Because some people will pride ourselves in, bro, I don't even got cable like that, so I ain't even worried about all that. Or I don't even do the whole local news. But you on Facebook and Twitter, and you even on TikTok.
Yeah,
those are forms of news as well. Yeah, same thing. And now let's expand this where for those of you or those of us, let's include each other. It's not, it may not be news. The total, well, I shouldn't say the total opposite, but let's polarize. Yeah. If it ain't news, which is really in the form of entertaining, and there's a problem when I can identify Wolf Blitzer in a movie and then see him on real life. It start to blend. It start to blend together when people acting, but then they also do real life television. That's a problem, right? But if news is on this side, which is still in the entertainment category, let's not get it twisted. Media literacy, right? It's still in. Then the other side would be, for all intents and purposes, memes.
Oh, you took it.
There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
And listen, nothing's wrong with a few memes that'll make you laugh. Just like there's nothing wrong with looking at the news to be informed. But it's the consumption, it's the amount of it, where there are a lot of us who's like, I ain't trying to do that. I just want to feel good. I just want to not really think about things. So we just sit and we just consume all of the things that aren't necessarily relevant or relative to what's impacting me in my daily life. It's escapism.
It is.
Escape to the non-realities of life, the funny things of life. And some of us escape, which is a reality, to things that are real. It's weird, right? But we escape the drama. Yeah. And so so kind of know where you are in that spectrum. There are those of us who may be in the middle, but there are those of us who are on either extremes. Like, I'm hardcore. I'm seeing it all day, every day, bro. I need to know.
Yeah.
And those is like, I don't even want nothing. I just want to feel good. I just want to be happy. I don't care about, anything, but y'all just thumbing, like. And you ain't even know what you liking no more. You just know the person. So clearly they got something that you think is worth.
You trying to tell me it's a challenge when I say, well, I only watch the news because I want to be concerned. I want to be up to date on any prophetic movements, but I never read the Bible. Listen, it's in jest because we all have a thing, a category, a topic, a subject matter, and even I've said this before, good things. If we're not, we have to do the work of filtering. I read it. Why did I like it? What is it contributing to? How can I pass this on? That's what we're called to do. We're called to evaluate. And be okay with even questions about what we're sharing and what we're doing, and to know that you can look at things with a spiritual lens that don't necessarily fit into the category of a Bible study as well. So that's just what we're talking about. We're just what we're talking about here. So Hazel says, I saw a post on Facebook this week where the author asked people to drop a pic of something solid, not your flowers or food or your house. I want to see who has soul. I thought about it for a while, then dropped a pic. Okay.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
What this exercise is doing for me, as Cerise says, Chris, my daughter, Carlise, is thoroughly entertained by you sipping my tea. Well, Carlise, it's water. I don't know, no tea in the mug today. That was last night, but we appreciate the entertainment. So let me tell you what this exercise, thanks, Cerise, what this exercise has done for me. I'm looking through, right? I'm scrolling through. What have I actually consumed? And I didn't pull up Facebook because my Facebook may break. My browser might break because Facebook is streaming and all of that, right? So, but I'm looking at my emails and I realized that I have certain emails that are already flagged as read as soon as they come in, not RED, READ. As if I've read them, and I'm looking to them like, wow, hold on. A lot of my healthcare stuff, like Harvard Business Review management stuff, coming in red. And at one point I did used to look through them, but now, honestly, it's just taking up space in my inbox. Mind you, these are things that I should be connected to. I should be knowing what's the latest thing that's happening in the healthcare space daily. I mean, that's what my schooling has trained me to do.
Yeah.
It got overwhelming after a while. So it's like, let me just put all of this in a folder. Let me just label this and just put red. So when they come in and I'm realizing, wow, wait a minute. asking me something that I read this week, I can't even tell you that I have intentionally looked at
Wow. Yeah.
an article related to the industry that I purport to be an expert in this week or last week or the week before. I think after I graduated, I just needed a break.
Need a break.
That's
Yeah.
what it was. But I think in all sincerity, though, this is really making me now reflect. What are you consuming? Because you're consuming. Don't get it twisted. We are reading. It may not be a book. It may not be an article.
I mean, status updates we're reading. Memes. We're reading.
Notifications. Let's broaden it even further.
We're reading notifications. Yeah. Let me see what notifications I have. I'm gonna pull it up.
Hey, as a matter of fact, so the reason why I appreciate go ahead. The reason why I appreciate it's a love-hate relationship now with the iPhone is because on Android, you see all of the icons and the notifications at the top. So you know who's what is vying for your attention.
Yeah.
iPhone, because of that big ugly notch.
You
can't see nothing. You don't know what's going on. You would have to intentionally flip it down to see the notifications panel, which is actually very well engineered if they are intentionally not wanting you to be distracted with all of the I don't know if that's if that's what they want, but the whole point is
Lana says something I read on social media was real cooks make cornbread in a cast iron frying pan. Show you right. And the other said if you put sugar in your grits, you're going to hell. Both make me laugh.
Ooh, I saw the grits joint.
Listen. All right. Listen. I don't put sugar on my grits.
Me neither.
But I do put syrup. Leave me alone. You can get mad if you want to. All right. My parents from the South. All right. My mom put syrup in her grits. She from El Dorado, Arkansas. All right. So I put syrup in my grits too. And I don't use a spoon. I use biscuits to slop up the grits and the syrup concoction. All right. I know some of y'all like savory grits and with your egg and salt and pepper and all of that stuff. And you get all upset. I don't care. My mama put syrup in her grits and she don't use a spoon. She use biscuits. I put syrup in my grits and I don't use a spoon and I use biscuits.
I done ran out of tea for this segment. First of all, sir, it ain't slop up, it's sop up. So that's how I know you done messed up. And and second of all, you can't be using your mother. Who gonna disagree? Who gonna disagree?
Right. You can't disagree with my mama, right? No, that's not cream of wheat, Lana. It's not cream of wheat. It's grits. It's grits. I don't even like cream of wheat. Y'all can take that. Cream of wheat is not of God. All right. So
let him know that when he started putting scissor.
If my country folk from the South, from Mississippi, and more so my Arkansas folk,
you can pull that
card. Syrup in the grit, then it's fine.
Yeah, you got you got that card. I can't.
It's fine.
Parents Caribbean. Salt and butter.
Yeah, my Trinity wife only does a little bit. Most times she don't want anything in it, but a little bit of salt. Sometimes a little bit of butter. Yeah. I know that. I knew somebody was gonna say something about that. All right.
He said, "Ew."
When the pandemic is over and I have brunch, I'm gonna check you at the door. I put syrup in my grits. If that's gonna be a problem, you can't come in.
Oh man.
Ain't nobody on here put syrup in their grits. Ain't nobody.
Yeah. Lana said I'm right. He said you done turn grits to cream of wheat.
But you Caribbean, Chris. You can't.
Okay, you know what? You see, that's the only card.
I'm Caribbean. I'm from.
That's the only card he's able.
I'm people country folk from the South.
You're right, and I have no. I have no way to refute this. I can't rebut this part of the debate.
Now, there's a lot of country folk from the South who would debate that as well, because they are about savory grits, not sweet grits.
But the fact that you just removed my whole heritage card, saying that I can't even, I don't even deserve a seat at the table to debate. That's just what you said. So you know what? You said you can't even. You made me right.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
You weren't even born here.
Listen, I'm not. I don't tell Caribbean folk how to make porridge.
Here you go.
Don't tell me how to make my grits.
Here you go. Okay. Colleen, yes, Colleen, chime in here.
Yeah, we go. Yeah, drop this in the comment section, because something we read on social media was, how people started. John P. Key had a song about it. Sugar don't go on grits. It went viral. So drop that in the comment section. How you like your grits? It's relative to what I read this week, and some things we read are just for comedic purposes, and that's okay. We need to laugh. We need to laugh.
You're right. I laugh with the syrup on the grits. Comedic. Gerald says he watched this sermon that said that there are two plans, a G plan and an E plan, and we have the power to choose our future plan. In a nutshell, the E plan leads to curse, destruction, and loss, but the G plan is the mount of blessing. But the clincher was that even if you find yourself on the E plan, all you have to do is talk to the plan, quote unquote, provider.
Listen.
And he can get your plan changed to the G plan.
Oh, I got two sermons.
Is the G plan God, and the E plan what does the E stand for?
Are those mountains, Old Testament mountains? I was thinking maybe.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing, but man, it's real good. Gerald, can you tell us who preached it? Where was it? Can I find it on YouTube? I'm interested in it. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Sharing that with us.
I like that.
Camilla says, started reading No Compromise with Slavery by William George Garrison, an abolitionist who gave this address in 1854 to a congregation at Brooklyn Tabernacle in New York. I realized that there was nothing new under the sun, as persons in that time were justifying slavery biblically. I likened it to us today, who are enslaved to things we know are wrong and try to justify it biblically. My word.
You know what went viral? One of Jason O'Rourke's post. Stop justifying the wounds because you love the person holding the knife. I definitely butchered that, but that was Gerald did say it does stand for mountain, so it's Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim.
Okay. So yeah, we are enslaved to things we know are wrong and try to justify it biblically. What's the difficulty of being so adamant about a certain rule, policy, political ideology, social construct, piece of propaganda, whatever it is, marching and rallying and crying out against that thing, while at the same time realizing that in my personal life, there are things.
Can you imagine?
That literally the Spirit of God is crying out against. Like, this is not the move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, but
and it's crazy,
yeah,
it's a very insidious process. It's not like you going back to one of the original memes you were talking about. Today I wake up and I choose to. It's this slow drip.
Yeah.
It's maybe new associations that you connect with at work, or people you may connect with on social media. Maybe not connect with, but starting to go through their stuff. Hey, listen. I was surprised to see a lot of folk in the red light challenge.
Oh, we going there?
Listen.
We going there.
Isn't that kind of symbolic to the red light district that's like somewhere in Europe somewhere, I think?
It's gotta be.
Right? Or maybe not. But the point is it's so much easier now
Okay.
with what we have at the fingertips to be influenced, more subtle, but yet more speedily at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for
True.
every image or video or thumbnail or meme or comments even that we kind of go through, it is preconditioning, or not even preconditioning, but it is conditioning our mind to say, okay, what do I think about this? And perhaps if we're not, and we're talking about, because we're now looking at what did I read this week for us to process what we actually are consuming, perhaps, I don't know, baby, perhaps, if we aren't taking the time to process the things that it's visceral reaction, right? The instinctive, the guttural reaction should be, ooh, no, next, like, versus, oh my goodness. But then you go to the next. Facebook good for this. Facebook Watch.
Oh, they suggest.
Just keep rolling to the next, or even Pandora or Apple Music or Spotify. When the album is done, it'll take you to another, and it's almost insidious to not do the heart work, right, or the mind work of really checking. How do I feel about this post? And I know it sounds so like, okay, life doesn't work that way, Chris. Like you don't go through each post and say, how does this resonate with the value systems that I have set up for my life? How does this align with the 10 commandments? Or how does this align with the gospel of... And yet at the same time, you know what the new devotional that I came on with, Pete? The devotional I came on with talked about this individual. No, sorry. The individual, they talked about Jesus's temptations and the way that Jesus, in the wilderness, the way that he answered those temptations. And so the first temptation, right? Oh, is this something we're gonna have to talk about? Hey, you know what? Might do it this weekend.
That's good. First
temptation, Jesus, for Jesus was Lucifer saying, obviously coming in an angel of light right in the beginning. So he's, trying to do that whole thing. And then he says, yeah, if you're the Son of Man, turn these stones into bread. From the Greek perspective, the if, okay, let's go into it. I might not. The if are three kinds of ifs. And our Greek teacher broke it down. So there's a first class condition. This is the only thing that I got from my Greek class. I got a C in it. So, and the reason why you got a C is because you just didn't show up. He's like, you A's and F's get C's. So, so first class conditioning if this is something and it's true. Second class conditioning is if this is something and I don't know. And third class conditioning is if it's something and it's not true. So if I could fly, don't have the ability to do it, that's a third class conditioning. If I had more water, that's a terrible one, but it's like an in between. It could or may not be able to happen, man. The first one though is if I were a man, it's true. The if that we usually think that the enemy is asking Jesus is the third class. If you were the Son of God, which you're not, because I'm trying to tell you that you're not, command these stones that they turn into bread. It was really the first one. If you are the Son of God, which we know you are. Mindset. The first thing that Jesus does is he's not trying to grapple with, oh, well, I am. He says, listen, it is written. Man should not live by bread. It's his guttural reaction to go back to the word. I'm using it as the example because we look at posts and it's like, man, like, should I be so calculating with what I'm encountering? The answer is yes. Ideally, yes. We should be. Because the next temptation that the enemy says, he says, oh, we're using scripture? All right. Let's go ahead and dip into Psalms then.
I got you.
Let me take you up on this little temple here and go ahead and jump off. For he has charged his angels to protect you, and it's so the fact that he said, oh, we're gonna go scripture for scripture. I look at that and I think about this idea, and obviously, Jesus once again says, don't tempt the Lord. Like it wasn't even like a battle. It wasn't even like, well, if we're gonna go from that perspective, he's like, nah, don't tempt God. Keep it moving. So, and obviously, the third one. But the point is, I really do believe that as we're looking at the some things or the things that we have consumed or have read this week, maybe we should start being more intentional on having and guys, listen, I'm not trying to say have a fanatical spirit about this stuff.
Yeah. The discernment is key though.
Because you can go down. How many of us have went down rabbit holes in social media?
Oh man.
So imagine going down, Pete. Imagine going down the rabbit hole, and then you coming up for air, and you realizing, wow. Have you ever went back through your breadcrumbs and realized I started on this?
Yep.
How did I get all the way over here? And you forgot why you were even there to begin with, because now you're focused on the other stuff, and you go all the way back. You're like, what? Oh, wow! That was what I was reading, or that was what I was looking at. Wow. That to say, I think if we choose not to process those things inevitably become part of our belief system. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's good because we don't. A lot of times, growing up in church for me, it was like the shock treatment, the shock value.
Yeah.
Don't watch music videos. Don't listen to this type of music. Don't watch secular TV on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. It wasn't a conversation about, okay, let's the evaluative practices, the critical thinking skills to even discern and not be duped by something that even has a high production value. Because some of us will say, just because a piece is eloquently written doesn't mean that it checks the box of our moral and ethical imperative. Just because it's a great production, a well-written movie, a well lit photograph, whatever it is, just because it looks good does not mean it's good for you. And some of us get duped. They say, no, it can't be bad because look at the quality of it.
Angel of light.
The very elect, if it were possible.
Listen here. Colleen. Yeah. First of all, Colleen said just butter in her grits, please. And if the butter's salted, yeah, we there. But then she also said a post shared with me this week. Which wounds do you keep open because no one has recognized them yet? And which wounds do you keep open because they are the only way you are recognized? Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
That's meta. that is a meta question.
Wow.
That is deeply psychological.
Yeah.
Because I'm even trying to think of for myself.
True. Yeah.
Things that you've held on to, right? Things that I've held on to. Is because there's a desire for somebody to say, I see you, right? There's everyone has that desire, right? To say, I see you. But that second one, though, after they say, I see you, you still hold on to it because you want to keep being seen.
Weren't we talking about this earlier with the identity thing? Do I find my identity in the wound? And because people know me as the person. And who's Pierre? Oh, he's the guy that has that particular wound.
Yeah, the person.
Come listen to him tell his wound story.
Yeah.
So I keep telling the wound story because I'm recognized for that wound story. And I don't allow the narrative to shift. Because clearly the Holy Spirit is like, nah, like that's part of your identity, but that's not that's part of what happened to you, but that's not who you are.
Yeah.
Like, nah, like this story, you don't understand, like this story gets me attention. This story gets my emotional needs met. This story, helps me to show up on people's radar. This story, this is the only way I can have conversations with certain people that I really want to talk to because of this wound. So let's just keep it open. Let's not allow it to heal. I'll scratch it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll scratch the scab a little bit.
Yeah.
Or interfere with the healing process.
Wow.
So I can keep it just fresh enough so that I can continue to be recognized from this wound.
So you're telling me that if I keep it open, I'm commercializing the thing that's hurting.
I'm telling you,
I'm merchandising the thing. Like I'm turning it into almost like for profit, right? Like I'm turning it into the thing that because it's almost as if I don't even want to say idolizing. I think that's too cute. I think it's supposed to be
use that in a cute way.
Yeah, I think that we take the thing and we realize, no, this is working. This is working.
Yeah.
And we find a way to we build businesses around
Oh,
that
yeah.
versus using the wound as a catalyst or catalyzing the thing as an accelerant to get to the thing that really matters, get to the real me versus I am the wound and the wound is me. We are one. Yeah, Cody, that was a deep one. It was heavy. Yeah.
See, when you're married to someone who's studying counseling psychology,
Yeah.
she just does that like all the time. Hey, I read this. She's always doing, I read this week. Maybe that's where I got it from subconsciously. Maybe she playing this. I don't know.
Hey, Cerise, in response to what we just shared before with Satan being tempted, she put gaslighting. Satan is the ultimate gaslighter. You know, Cerise, I truly believe that that's why, for those of us that do believe in, I think, what is it, like the post-millennial prophecy, where he's going to be chained and bound to the earth for 1,000 years. While we're in heaven, he's down here. Yeah. Fire needs oxygen. And for those who are gaslighters, they need people. They need the argument. They need the drama. It's going to be torture for the whisperer, for the liar to be alive for a millennium.
Nobody to deal with.
And there's nobody around. That's going to be torture. So you're right. You're right. Gaslighters without any oxygen, they either do one of two things. They implode and hopefully humbly change their ways, or they radically just find a way to make their voice heard. Case in point, President number 45.
Listen, man.
When Twitter was stripped away.
Yeah, he almost lost it when he didn't get no Twitterverse. Listen, y'all, I'm telling y'all, you do not have to respond to. First of all, you don't have to respond to anybody on social media.
Listen here.
You don't have to respond at all.
Listen here.
There are some people you should doubly not respond to. Matter of fact, if somebody types something, gives you a comment, even attacks you, go back and check their profile to see if this is their MO. Because some people, this is their MO.
Trolls.
Like, this is what they do. They are bona fide trolls. And they are only in it to stir you up. They don't even care what they have to say to stir you up. And how will you come back and defend yourself, and having your friends talk about, yeah, you told them, you shut them down. The troll doesn't care about that. The only thing they care about is that they stirred you up and got under your skin and got you to type and rant and hoop and howl. I don't care. They're just trying to stir up trouble. The crazy thing about that is that you knew people like this before the social media context. They would just show up every so often to start an argument. And then when people are arguing amongst themselves, they slide out side door.
Can you imagine? That's
one of the oldest tricks of the devil.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll take a couple more of these.
Aaron, I was reading about prebiotics and probiotics this week. I was surprised to find that some probiotics are not suited for and cannot survive in our guts. I have been trying to determine which ones are worthwhile.
You Google it over there?
I'm Googling what do probiotics do. Probiotics are made of good bacteria. Hey, listen, some of us got probiotics. Aaron, go ahead and break it down for us.
I'm gonna break it down.
Listen. I'm gonna do probiotics. Aaron, do prebiotics. So probiotics are made up of good bacteria that helps keep your body healthy and working well. This good bacteria helps you in many ways, including fighting off bad bacteria when you have too much of it and helping you feel better. So probiotics are a part of a larger picture concerning bacteria in your body, which is considered your microbiome. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen words like that since biology in school.
I didn't take biology.
I had to take it I had to take a science, so I think I took bio. Wow. Yeah, microbiome. Mm-hmm. See that right there? That's what I should have been doing. But you know what? It's so funny because this week, all I was reading was okay. This week, the majority of my consumption was trying to understand Facebook pixels for ads. Boring stuff to non-marketers, but
so let's talk about this for a little bit and let's shift to pixels. Then we'll take a couple of comments before we sign off.
Okay.
How I think this is right in line with our conversation. So you and I might not know much about prebiotics and probiotics, but the reality, some probiotics, right? Things. You did pro, right?
Yeah.
Bacteria.
Good bacteria.
Good bacteria. Just because something is good doesn't mean it's good for you. Some probiotics, good bacteria, are not suited for and cannot survive in our guts. I've been trying to determine, use discernment, study, ascertain which ones are worthwhile. This is what we're talking about. So even the good stuff we come across, we process, how much of it is supposed to stay with us, be a part of our repository, and how much of it is like, nah, that's not even for me. So, and I'm with Hazel. Yeah, the bombardment is real.
Yeah, she makes a conscious choice and effort to filter what she engages on social media. Perhaps the question might be somewhat difficult for a lot of us too, because we're doing more watching than reading. Does that make sense? Like a lot of the content now is really video.
Yeah.
So so a lot of the informational, even the information, not news and stuff like that, but even how-tos and things like that, is coming through loud and clear.
That's a good point.
Video and images versus
very good point.
Actual text. So that could be it as well, but still a place for words.
So, man, break down pixels for us real quick. I think there's going to be some application, and we'll ride off into the sunset with this.
Okay. Why did he do this to me? So, Lord.
Take a breath. Aaron says prebiotics are the types of dietary fiber that feed the friendly bacteria in your gut. This helps the gut bacteria produce nutrients for your colon cells and leads to a healthier digestive system. So we got the prebiotic, we got the probiotic, both good things,
right?
But not all of them are good for you.
Sound like a Pauline statement. What do you say?
Can you imagine what if Paul was like instead of being a member of the religious ruling class.
Yeah.
What if he was in a modern context and he shift from being like a microbiologist to an evangelist? What would his letters look like?
Oh my God. Michael Crichton.
I mean,
next level.
Yeah.
Next level. That's the closest I can get. For those of y'all who don't know, Michael Crichton, he was the author of Jurassic Park. He created ER. He actually was in med school, but he was also writing to pay bills, right? To stay afloat. And then he realized, he didn't go to med school. He was doing all of the pre-med stuff before going into residency. So he went to med school, but he didn't do residency because when it was time for residency, he said, I know what I want to do. And it's not to be a doctor, but everything that he did from then influenced his writing and his creative work. Yeah. Which is why it's so tangible and real. Yeah, my man is yeah. Hey, so Donna's encouraging me. All right. So a Facebook pixel is this piece of code that you drop into your website, which helps to capture information for or from the individuals that visit your site. Few things. It captures behavior. It also captures some of the allowable descriptions of who that individual is on Facebook too. So like their interests and things like that. The reason why this is important, especially for advertising, is because once you put an ad up and you connect the Facebook pixel to that ad, it's almost like a trigger that allows the Facebook ad to say, oh, let's start tracking this individual when they get onto your website, because we want to know the kind of individual that they are, which is like, when you on your Facebook, you've interests, videos you've watched, or whatever. It may feel like it's invasive. I mean, at this point,
it is.
And we use it. Don't get it twisted. We use it. And not only that, but your behavior on the actual site. What have you clicked on, and all of that stuff. That's important because when it's time to create new ads, you want to be able to do what's called a lookalike audience. So a lookalike audience is, let's now choose a new ad and focus on these group of people that look like what the Facebook pixel captured. That's what a lookalike audience is. Why you want to do that? You want to do that because you're able to now have a more specific and cost-efficient way of putting the ads in front of the right individuals. So instead of putting an ad out there that's like, hey, buy me, you're now talking to one group of people that you may not have even considered who is engaging with that ad, which also costs less money at the end of the day. So yeah, it's really target marketing.
So what you're telling me, some of the things that come across my timeline that I actually end up reading are simply because people who are marketing are following the breadcrumbs of where I've been already and using the information of where I've been to guide me to where I want to go next.
Let me drink this last drop.
Or where they want me to go next.
Pierre C. Quinn. Told y'all this week that about resistance bands. Why do most of my sponsored ads on Facebook keep showing me resistance bands? I bought the bands. And my first reaction was, I already got some, I'm good. But they showed it to me enough that I'm like, ooh, my set of bands don't do that. What's the return policy on the current bands that I got? Because I think I'm like, yo,
yeah,
it's real. Because in my mind, I'm like, y'all done wasted y'all money. I already done got what I needed. And here's the thing, they don't necessarily know, right? They don't know that you've already got it or whatever, but what they do know is that you visited it. So some of us get tripped up because we're like, nah, I got this, I'm good. But then you see the better and like, how many of y'all got exercise equipment that you still don't use yet?
Listen.
And it's a better version of what you got, but you still didn't use neither version of it. First of all, give it to me because I'm about that life right now. We closing rings out here. All right, Lord of the Rings out here. We closing them. But anyway, P. Yeah, that's it targets what you're interested in. Ooh. That's just not from an enemy side. We oftentimes will look at it from a negative perspective, but God knows you intimately. So you don't think that He has pixels that's just been downloaded, implemented, developed especially into the new you, where you will now be given and attracted to the new things when you are revived from death to life in Christ.
Yeah. Heart of stone to heart of flesh.
Heart of stone to heart of flesh, man.
The whole appetites, they change. Yeah. Man.
Better resistance bands. Go ahead and let's trade.
Man, listen, thanks for hanging out.
Satisfied.
Thanks for sharing with us what you read. Aaron's still dropping knowledge on the prebiotics. Yeah, so thanks for hanging out, sharing what you read in community. It's just a reminder that we got to ask the why question. Why does this matter to us? Why does it show up? Why do we take it in? Why do we wrestle with it? Why do we share it with other people? And also it gives us an opportunity because a lot of us are consumers from the standpoint of we're taking so much in, but we're not sharing it with other people. Insights. Now, some of you are going to go look up prebiotics and probiotics. Some of you are going to go look up Mark Batterson. Some of you are going to go look up some of the Bible verses that were shared, all because they were brought to us in this context. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll do this every so often. We'll check in. What are we reading? Because we're consuming a lot, we're taking in a lot.
Yeah.
But if we're not sharing it in community, if we're not applying it ourselves, things that have that value,
Mhm.
and not sharing it in community for the betterment of other people, then really, what are we doing?
Well said.
And you know, since they already listening,
Yeah. Let them know, P. Let them
they
know.
already listening. You might not get no targeted ads for this.
Mhm.
You might not get any targeted ads specifically with these instructions. So here's your sign.
Yes.
Here is your notification. Here's your advertisement. Especially with all the stuff you read this week. Go pray.